Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Sin Beyond and Through with Monty. Well, it has finally happened. Pastor Dwayne Dawkins has finally admitted what we already knew. Pastor Dawkins has taken full accountabilities of his transgressions. Now, Pastor Dawkins has admitted in a lengthy Facebook post that yes, it was him in the video. He takes full responsibility of his actions. And let me just kind of summarize, because it's a very long post that has since been deleted, I understand. But that his wife, he had to confess to her that she knew about past similar discretions in which he had committed. And his church also knew about them. And he had had counseling, people he had confided in with help for this matter. And he also states that this has caused he and his family a big financial hardship. They are no longer in Florida. They have relocated to Atlanta, where he has family. His wife's business is suffering. She's an entrepreneur. And basically, he's very sorry for his actions, which has caused so many people to suffer. Mainly his wife, his children, his congregation. He says that whatever punishment comes from his actions, he accepts them. So I'm going to get into a different angle with this right here because Pastor Dawkins may not know this, but he's a marked man now. And I'm going to explain to you why I say this. First off, if you look at the pastor, he's a very attractive guy. And he has all the tools and equipment that many men in the gay community would like and lust after. He's about 6 feet tall, maybe 6'1" or 6'2". Attractive face and well endowed. And the thing about it is that men are going to like the idea of trying to get at and tempt the forbidden fruit. Pastor Dawkins has made it known that he's working on himself. And people are going to like that challenge. And here's a big problem. He's relocating to Atlanta. And I'm thinking, Atlanta, of all places? Atlanta is the black gay capital of the world. Well, of America. I mean, not the world, of America. And you're relocating to a place where, Pastor Dawkins, you're going to have all types of men now throwing themselves at you. Whatever was your type, they're going to throw themselves at you. It's almost like you're putting yourself into a sea of temptation. From what I understand about, I'm not saying he has an addiction, but I'm just trying to make an analogy. If you do have an addiction or a problem, you want to take yourself out of that environment. Putting yourself into an environment like that, I do not think is going to help. Now, the pastor is making a move that I'm not sure is a very smart move. But it just goes to show that he mentioned that they're suffering financial hardships because of what he's done. This has only been like 3 weeks now to a month. 3 weeks, I'm going to say. And it just goes to show you that when you lie, you cheat, you steal, you commit these acts of infidelity. Like many said, what is done in the dark will come to light. And it's come to light in a big way. in a big unfortunate way. And look how many people are suffering now. I mean, his wife Tamia, First Lady. Not only does she have to deal with the embarrassment, but it's not just the embarrassment though, it's the hurt, the pain, like he says. And he touched on something strange. He said that as far as him not using a condom and having unprotected sex, what he said was that he's taken precautions to make sure that his wife's health is not at risk. So otherwise, that simply means that he's being tested. But I think we know that certain things can lay dormant. So I think it's foolish for him to believe that it's only him that needs to be tested. No, to me, it's going to need to be tested also, and regularly. You know, this has just opened up a can of worms for so many people. And it's just not a one-time test that he and she are going to have to get. It's going to be, okay, another 6 weeks, let's do another one. Another 6 weeks, let's do another one, just to make sure. And I'm sure that she had, people in the church who admired her as first ladies. First ladies within the black community is a very big deal. And it's a shame that this had to be uprooted. And also there had to be uprooted was his children's education. Who knows what type of school they were going to? I'm sure it was a good school, a good location. They probably made friends there. Could have been teachers they liked. They could have liked the environment. Now they're going to have to go to some school in Atlanta that's very new to them. You just really put a dent into so many lives just because you couldn't control yourself. And some people may say, gay men may say, well, he's living his truth. I don't agree with that, because I know a lot of gay men who have made a vow to their partners of monogamy, to be faithful. And apparently from the letter, he made a vow to be faithful too. A lot of straight people have made a vow to each other to be faithful, but they can fool around and break that vow. So it's not that anyone's knocking homosexuality or saying that's wrong, it's sinful, it's dirty. No, the breaking of the vow, the trust that's broken, the lie that's being told, that's the problem there. And, the congregation there, I'm sure they are disappointed. People he worked with are disappointed. And we're in a time right now, war in Ukraine, high gas prices, coming food shortages. You don't want to make people's lives any more difficult than what it already is by something that you have made a vow to control, that you should have controlled. And I want to say this too. The guy in the video that he was with, they knew each other. This was not a one-time act with a stranger. They had some type of a relationship. There was kissing going on in the video. And the guy said, you need to hurry up, or something about a time frame so you can get back to your wife. He knew about the pastor's personal situation. So that tells me that they knew each other. And about the apology letter, I'm not so convinced about that. It's just one of those things to me that when people get caught, they're more ashamed and they're more sorrowful and they're more repentful, regretful that they got caught. We all know that had that video had not gone viral, he would have had at least 3 more encounters right now. He would have continued to do that and not mentioned it to his wife. So I think that apology letter is kind of disingenuous in a way. And by the way, that shows all the signs to me of getting back into the church. Because when an indiscretion like that is exposed, when you've done some wrongdoing, you admit It's a public admission of guilt and a public apology. They all have to go through that. Once that's done, then you start over, but at a lower position. But as I stated before, his wife is having to give up friends that she knew, friends who she had built a camaraderie with, women she knew, to move back there to Atlanta. And I had mentioned him, his physical stature. Right here, he's about 6'1". And my God, this guy is going to be so wanted by so many men. I hope he knows what's in store. What's in store in Atlanta. He must. If he's lived in New York City, he must know. But he better be prepared. Because it's almost like, you're throwing yourself to the wolves, so to speak. He's going to have his pick of any type of guy that he wants. On the food chain, on the gay food chain, the way that, as I told you before, him being a good-looking guy, 6'1". By the way, let me add this too, from what I've heard. I've heard that there was some other video there. There's some other video out there. Okay, I can kind of believe that if he made the mistake of doing one. And I do believe it was a mistake. I think that if he knew he was being taped or filmed, obviously he did not agree for it to go viral or to be leaked. But in the other video, I heard that he was topping also. That he's in the more dominant position. And from what I have heard, he prefers the dominant position, being a top guy. Top guy, well endowed, tall, dark skinned, handsome. Yeah, he's at the top of the food chain. So, the Atlanta thing is just, I just don't think that's a really good idea, that type of environment, if you're trying to overcome something like this. And speaking of overcoming, this is going to be a challenge to their marriage because her having to uproot herself, her children, leave the house, leave an environment that she was probably happy with, a position that she was probably happy in. This is going to take a toll. And they're probably going to need, obviously, some counseling to keep their marriage intact. If that's really what she wants, he wants, I wish them all the best. But he's going to have to weigh, is it really worth it? For him to live a lie. Because these feelings, emotions, desires are not going to go away. They're not going to go away just because he's moving. They're not going to go away because he wrote a letter. Because he feels remorse. He feels regret. He feels ashamed, embarrassed, whatever. They're not going to go away because he's praying. He can control it, I guess. He can contain it. He can have some willpower. But that's not changing your innate desire. And that's the problem. With all that, is he going to be happy? Is she going to be happy knowing that what he really wants to do, he cannot do? So this situation is just tragic and messed up all around. And this is what happens when people do not live their truth. So many lives are affected all around. His, hers, the children's, the congregation, so many. In any event, I hope that all parties come out of this for the better, especially the wife and the children. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is another edition of Seeing Beyond and Through with Monty, and I will see you all beyond and through.